Hey guys, and welcome back. You know, teal season is like right around the corner, and I mean right around the corner. And it's one of my favorite times of the year. 'Cause I love going after those little blue rockets. And it is the first time that we can get out there and start chasing our favorite thing, our favorite pastime, and that's ducks. So, let me give you 5 tips that's going to help you with the early season teal and other ducks. Stay tuned. One, scouting. Scouting is key essential to any outdoor activity that you're going to do, whether you're duck hunting, deer hunting, or turkey hunting. You're going to go out and you're going to scout your area. You're going to look for food sources. You're going to look for water sources. You're going to be looking for trails and where they're roosting and where they're feeding. You're going to be looking for all these things. So if you do it for deer and turkeys, why not do it for ducks as well? And especially teal. So, teal, by nature, by definition, are a duck, a waterfowl. So we're going to look for water. Now, generally speaking, teal love shallow water. Anything from no water, like an exposed mud bank, to about 18 inches of water. That's where they love. They love that in between, right there. Zero water, exposed mud banks, or mud flats, and about 18 inches. So we're going to look for that water. Within that, we're going to start looking for food sources. Now, native vegetation is preferred by teal, so they love things like smartweed, barnyard grasses, even cut grass produces a seed that they will eat. There's what's known around here as spalkerberry bushes in my area. There's a little seed pod on them. They will eat those. They like small invertebrates. They like crawfish. They like small minnows, tadpoles, even small frogs. So I want to look for the areas that have a lot of grass and are kind of weedy. So you're looking for, again, smartweed. There's lily pads that'll hide the invertebrates and the small fish. Water shield that has a little seed pod that they do love to eat. So you're going to be looking for these food sources. We're also going to look for a place that once you find this area that you can hide your boat. I say boat because I generally hunt out of a boat during teal season. The reason is I live in the South and there is a lot of alligators. So I prefer to stay inside the boat. And I think you can pretty much agree with that. So I got to find a place that I can hide my boat, and I want to be able to conceal it. And therefore, I'm looking for high cut grass that I can pull my boat into, or pull it up under willow bushes, or willow trees, or even get into some cattails, or maybe even up under a couple of cypress trees, because I want to conceal my boat. Also going to be looking for where the birds are. And I know that sounds kind of elementary, but you're not going to be looking for teal, let's say, in 15, 20 feet of water in an open lake. You're going to be looking for them in, again, shallow water. That's where they prefer to be. So that's what you're going to be, you're going to be looking for those areas, because once they come off roost, they're going to fly to a feeding area. And then once they feed, they're going to fly to a loafing area. And the loafing area is generally going to be either the same or same kind of conditions that the feeding areas are going to be in. It's going to be secluded. They like that seclusion. They don't like to be out on the open water. They would prefer to be somewhere hidden within the grasses and the exposed grasses and whatnot. I also want to look for things like what time of day are they showing up. Again, it alludes back to where they're roosting. So if you find a roosting spot, you don't want to go and hunt into the roost, because you're going to be driving your boat into the area and you're just going to be scaring up the ducks, and generally they're not going to come back. So if you find a roost area, you want to sit away from them, just on the outside of it, and so when they come off a roost, here's their feeding spot, and then boom, they're right there. Or you may be waiting say 9 or 10 o'clock. They may be loafing in that area, not generally feeding. So when you come into your area to scout, grab those binoculars, start looking, start scanning, note the time of day, note what they're doing. If they're sitting there resting and preening and maybe getting a little bit of water, if they're not tipped up and actively feeding, then this is a loafing area. Now, if they're actively feeding, well, that's a feeding area. So you want to look and what time of day that these birds are visiting the area that you're scouting. Concealment. Concealment, again, is crucial. I can't stress it enough. I think when I think concealment for duck hunters, I think about turkey hunting. And granted, you're sitting on the ground up under a tree when you're turkey hunting, but you're going to be wearing a face mask. You're going to be wearing gloves. Turkeys can see real well. So can ducks and even teal. They can see very, very well. And they have the height advantage because they're flying around in the sky. So I'll say it once, I'll say it twice, I will say it 1,000 times. Wear face paint. If nothing else, wear a face mask. I got it. It is September. It is hot. It is humid. If you can, wear a long sleeve shirt. Sometimes I'll wear like a cotton shirt or maybe even a wick-away shirt, and I'll wear that while I'm teal hunting. I usually, when I paint my face, so when I finish painting my face, I usually smear the excess paint on my hands. If I am wearing a short sleeve shirt that day, the face paint, I just kind of smear it around on my arms and hands, the excess, and that works as well. So you want to be concealed. And with that, you want to break up your outline. If you're sitting in a boat and you have a boat blind, you're in the blind, you still need to break up the outline of the boat. So you need to go and cut some extra brush, put it around the bow of the boat, down the sides and into the stern of the boat and around the motor. Your boat blind is probably well camouflaged, but you're just breaking up that outline so it doesn't look like a boat with a blind on it. So cut some extra brush, take the time, blind up, get concealed, and use the shadows to your advantage. I always set up, or do my best to set up, regardless of the wind, is to set up with the sun to my back. I would rather have the sun to my back. I don't want to be looking into the sun at all. I will work around the wind, and I know wind is very crucial when decoying ducks. I understand that. I got that, and I'm not saying it isn't, but I would prefer to have the sun to my back more than anything. It just, you can't see, and you're blinded, and you can't see the birds, and you have a tendency of looking down and you miss opportunities. So, I will try to put something behind me, and it just so happens my boat blind has a big cover up and comes over me. So if it does break up over the trees, it is not glaring down into my face, and that helps me a lot. So break up your outline, get concealed, and you will have better success. Practice shooting. If you haven't already taken the time to go to the range, again, teal season is right around the corner. Get out there, run a couple of boxes at the skeet range, trap range, or around the sporting clays. Get out there, get some practice in. Teal season is generally the first season that comes in a lot of areas. Here in South Carolina, our dove season starts right around Labor Day. So, and our teal season opens up September 11th. So I do have the doves that I can shoot at to get myself into a little bit more practice, but I try to get to the range a couple of weeks before the dove season, run a couple of boxes just to knock the dust and rust off the gun and get some practice in. Another thing to think about with your gun is you may have bought a new gun over this off season. Have you shot it yet? This would be a great time to go out and just shoot your gun so you know that everything's working. If you have changed out your choke tubes and gotten newer or a different brand of choke tube, or even newer shells or a different type of shell you've never shot before. You want to get out there, you want to pattern your gun. If you got a new gun, you want to shoot it. If you got new choke tubes, you want to pattern it with the new shot that you're shooting. If you've never teal hunted before, and I suggest a number 6 is a good teal load. 7.5 steel. If you're shooting bismuth, 7s will work fine. I shoot number 4s out of my 20, and I also shoot a 16 gauge, and I shoot number 4s out of it in bismuth. They all work, but I pattern my gun so I know what they're going to be doing. So get out there, shoot your gun, get out there and practice. 4 and 5 are probably the most controversial things that we'll discuss, and that is the number 4 would be the use of teal calls. Now, I am a very species specific type of person. I have different species throughout my spreads during the regular season, and I'm going to have a call for each one of the species. It's just the way I am, and that's what I prefer. I don't always run a mallard call all the time. Now, I'm not saying you can't call teal with a mallard call. I'm not saying that. But if you're going after teal, use a teal call. You're not hunting mallards, use a teal call. Now, I use, this one just happens to be a Duck Commander teal call. I like it. There's several other companies that make one. I actually did a video a while back, specialty calls and decoys. You should be able to see that up there. Take a look at that video. But a teal call, it sounds almost like someone laughing in the background. Sounds a little something like this. So that's the hen teal, both in the blue wing, green wing. The blue wing drake, he doesn't call much, even if he calls at all. But if he does, he's going to peep, and it's going to sound like. Now the green wing drake, we don't see many of them. I'm not saying we don't see any. I'm saying we don't see many of them this time of year. At least I don't where I hunt. But on occasion we do see them, and when we do, I will always pull out the teal whistle and make the drake sound, and that's it. But like I said, the blue wing drake doesn't make that much noise. He's kind of a little quiet little guy. But the little green wing, he likes to be a little raunchy sometimes, so he'll peep. So I use both calls. I have both, and I utilize them. Number 5 is decoys. Again, another controversial subject. A lot of people will tell you that teal are dumb. At times they are. And you can shoot them over mallard decoy. Just use some mallard hen decoys. And yeah, you can. Again, though, I am very species specific, and I like to have teal decoys. Now, when I use teal decoys, especially for the early season, I use only the hen decoys. It's either the hen decoys or the early season packs that you can get from Greenhead Gear. These little, the reason I use nothing but hens is they are brown, of course, and because they're so dark that they show up from farther away than, let's say, decoys with a little bit of color in them, or a little bit of, like I said, a little bit of color in them. These dark decoys will show up a little bit farther away. So I use them. I do use some color in my decoy spread, where I'll put in a few shovelers, a couple of shoveler drakes, and again, that's for color. Also, shoveler decoys are a little bit bigger and also can be seen farther away, and they have a lot of white and dark in them, so it's kind of like that contrast of black and white in there. I also use about a half a dozen coot decoys that I'll intermix throughout my spread. I did a video on that, and you can see that in a little bit. And that contrast, that black decoy, again, it shows up farther away, so I will put those coot decoys out. Another thing I like to use are spinners, and any spinner will do, in my opinion. I do use teal spinners during the early teal season. I think they work a little bit better, kind of like matching the hatch kind of thing. But I put 2 or 3 of those out. If you got more, put them out. If you only got one, use it. But I have in the past used nothing but mallard spinners. I've used wood duck spinners. I've used gadwall spinners. I've even used a dove spinner once, and it worked. The teal they're just drawn to that spinner. Also, I put out the Mojo's flicker flockers out throughout my spread. And I use 6, and I just spread them out. And especially if I'm in heavy vegetation, such as lily pads, where they may not be able to see the decoy that well, but they can see that flicker. And it just kind of gives like they're stretching their wings a little bit from a distance. So it's just added flash and added motion. If I'm hunting in a not like if I'm hunting lily pads, it's kind of hard to utilize a jerk string. So if I'm hunting a little bit cleaner water, I should say, that have that many lily pads, then I will use a jerk string or 2 for that matter, just to put some motion, get some ripples on the water. But if I'm hunting really thick lily pads, I find that the jerk cord is just popping the decoy up over the lily pads, and it's really not disturbing the water that much. It's more, it just gets become a tangled mess sometimes. So it depends on when I get there how everything looks, whether I put a jerk cord out or not. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed these 5 tips that I've given. You can see my essential, what I keep in my blind bag for early teal season up here. You can look at my decoy spread, the way I set up my decoy spread. We got a video up here, and you can see that. I also have some, like I said earlier, I have some videos on specialty decoys and calls. Take a look at those as well. Don't forget to hit the like button, the comment down below. Tell me if you have any more tips that you'd like to see. Look down, give me a comment down below. As always, hit that thumbs up, hit that notification bell, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And we'll see y'all next time on Daddy Duck 365.